A dream stays a dream unless you make a plan. And that plan stays as a plan unless you take action. I've got a dream. And today is day number 1 of 26 weeks worth of training to be the fastest I've ever been over the marathon distance. And how are we going to start? Well, of course, we start with a long run. And before we start the run, we need to get in a bit of fuel, a bit of coffee, and some hydration in the tank, and then we'll be right to go. So to understand the training week, or even just a single training session, we need to understand the framework. So I've divided these 26 weeks into 4 training phases. 1, 2, and 3. They each last for 8 weeks, with the final phase, phase number 4, being only 2 weeks, 26 weeks all up. Phase number 1, I'm calling the base phase. In this phase, I aim to raise my VO2 max, get faster, and build my basic endurance. Phase number 2, the build, I work on extending that speed that I've developed in the first phase and developing more marathon specific endurance. So not exactly for the race, but the type of endurance that will allow me to complete the specific training sessions I need to get out of myself. Then phase number 3 is the specific phase. In this phase, I've got 8 weeks dedicated to making the most of my fitness and getting me ready for the race itself. So these sessions will be very geared towards race day speed, endurance, and the ability to hold that technique for the full race distance. And phase number 4, the final 2 weeks, really it's to get the body ready, get rid of the fatigue, and have myself ready and raring to go. In these couple of weeks, I'm not going to really add any fitness. Instead, it's to eliminate fatigue so I can make the most of the fitness that I built over the previous 24 weeks. Now you may have picked up that I've got the faster stuff first in the training program. So why the fast stuff first? Well, I've got 3 principles. The first principle is you can't run longer distances faster than shorter distances. So your 5K will be faster than your 10K best, will be faster than your half marathon best, will be faster than your marathon best. And number 2, it takes more work to build an element of fitness than it does to maintain it. So for example, if I wanted to build my 5 kilometre speed, I might be doing 2 key interval sessions a week to do it, so such as 5 times 3 minutes at 100% of VO2 max or something like that. And it will take 6 weeks to build up to a certain speed. But after I've gotten to that speed in the 5K, I might only need to do 1 key session every 2 weeks to maintain that for a period of time. And that session might even be shorter. Rule number 3, the rule of specificity. So the marathon specific work, more of it appears the closer we get to the race. And as a result, that training will be very tiring, will limit the recovery ability afterwards. So I don't have room for the other training as much. So if I can build the other training further out, take less work to maintain it, then I have the time and energy to really work on the marathon specific training as I get closer to race day. So the parameters for this run, 20 kilometers at a easy or basic run pace or intensity, which I think will turn out to be something like 540 all the way up to 450 per K. The idea is start off on the slower side of the speed and either maintain it or gradually get a little faster towards the end. Heart rate wise, well, I'm ignoring it.
So I've got my watch set up so I don't see my heart rate. So this is the reason I went on this trail. I chose this route. At 3.5 kilometres from Wattle Glen to Hurstbridge, it's a new section of trails opened up a couple of weeks ago, and this is the first time I've been on it. Right, 19.69 kilometres, 1 hour 51 and 15 seconds, 5 minutes 39 per k. Average heart rate 143. Basically that run felt good until it didn't. Felt smooth, everything felt right up to around 16 kilometres. And then the legs had nothing any time I went uphill. And the last section is the most of the uphill. So, all right, let's add in the notes. Felt smooth and comfortable for first 15 kilometres. No power on uphill in the end. And legs stiffened up majorly. All right, first run done.
How do I plan the training? Well, I start with paper. I sketch out what may be a typical week cycle based on my work schedule, and this never matches 7 days. I do rotating shift work, so it's either an 8 or 9 day cycle usually. I sketch out a rough plan, so easy days here, long run will probably fit best here, intervals, strength training, where they typically would fit best. However, that's open to variation. And then I write out a possible 4-week schedule based on what I think my life will be like over those 4 weeks. And through this process, I may rewrite or alter the details to make it best fit in, because as I plan it out, I start to see where the issues will come up. You know, will I really be able to fit that in? One trap that I so often fall into is trying to fill all the available time that I have to train with training. Just because you can doesn't mean you always should. And then I go for a run. And later on, I come back to my notes, go through all those workings, and I ask, is this likely to work? If the answer is no, then I go back and I go through the process again. I start altering, making sure everything sort of just fits better, that I cover the plan of what I'm aiming to achieve in this training cycle. If the answer is yes, then I move this plan over to the computer and plug in the sessions in Final Surge. Day number 3. And this run, 40 minutes at what is my predicted current marathon pace. Now my legs are feeling extra stiff at the moment,
and in particular my left leg, so around the hamstring, the glute and hip, much stiffer than I like, and I think I have a plan to address this. Right, that's the warm-up done, but back on the stiff legs. They're feeling a lot looser and a bit better now after I've done my warm-up. But I guess the issue is it going to be a problem, or is it just because I've started the new training program and my body needs a bit more to adjust? It's probably a bit of both. And it's the second session for this day after this run, that is where I really aim to address these issues, and that's in the strength training. But first, I've got 40 minutes at what is my predicted current marathon pace. Right. I definitely couldn't hold that for a marathon distance. And I definitely didn't hit 4:45 per K. But a lot more hills, and the time was based on a 10,000 metres on the track, so it's always going to be slower. But the pace isn't too important, it's more the effort. The first week of training went okay. We had a long run of about 20 kilometres, an easy run of 10, 40 minutes at marathon pace, plus a light strength session following it. A recovery, one walk with the dog that was 4 kilometres. Easy 10 kilometres. Intervals, which was 6 by 400 metres with a 200 metre float, with the pace at 5 to 3 kilometre race pace.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief.
The last day, Sunday, was an inadvertent day off, and that came about because I got held up at footy training due to some issues as medic that required I had to stay there, and I didn't have the time to fit it in before night shift. I was expecting a total of somewhere between 70 to 75 kilometres for the week. I finished up with 66 kilometres covered. I missed the final run and strength training that I wanted on the last day, but that's life. As a starting point for a training program, I think it's good enough, but I really have to get on top of the strength training. Without doing so, I think I'm going to end up with a body that's not going to be able to handle and it's going to fall apart when I get into the harder and longer stuff as I get closer to race day. What lesson have I taken from this week? Well, time isn't always on my side. So I've got two options. Just get something done now or run the risk of missing the training. Well, that's week number 1 done, runners. Keep on running.